Back to my channel, Bring Peace into Your Life. If you've been watching some of my videos, you know that I have been encouraging you to look at bringing peace into your life and bringing calm into the situations that you're in so that you have peace in your life and have calmness. Today, I would like to actually talk about bringing peace into your relationships. I think this is a subject that really matters to a lot of us, that we would love our relationships to be strong and be close, and bringing peace into those relationships is really important. Whether we're talking about partners, family, friends, or even the people we work with day in and day out, our connections with others shape how we feel in a huge way. When relationships are tense or unsteady, it's hard to hold on to our sense of peace. But the good news is there are simple things we can do to build more calm, more understanding, and more warmth into every relationship that we have. Firstly, let's take a moment to think about why this matters so much. We often think of peace as something we find alone, maybe sitting quietly, or taking a walk, or even meditating. And while that's absolutely part of it, we are social beings. We crave connection in life, and we are more comfortable when we have connections. The energy we share with the people around us has a way of seeping into our own minds and bodies. If you've ever had a difficult conversation with someone you care about, you'll know how it can leave you feeling tight in your chest or restless long after it's over. It builds a tension in you, and that can be really difficult to manage. On the flip side of that is being with someone who makes you feel seen and safe. That can make even a busy, chaotic day feel manageable. If you feel connected to that person, valued and loved, it can make a massive difference. Peace in relationships isn't about never disagreeing or never feeling upset. It's about having the tools to navigate those hard moments without letting them damage the connection we share. It's about building a foundation where people can be themselves and still feel like they belong. Let's start with the first practice, and it's one that sounds really obvious, but most of us don't do it as well as we think we do. Listen to understand, not just reply. This is something I really struggle with, and it's ironic because I'm a counsellor. I listen to people, I actively listen to people on a daily basis. I give people space to talk and explore their feelings, and I help and support them. But I find it really difficult within personal relationships not to jump in, and quite often I have to remind myself to breathe, hold myself back, and listen. When someone would tell me about their problem they were having, my brain would immediately jump to how to fix this or what I can do in their shoes. I'd be focused on coming up with an answer that I'd miss what they were really trying to say. As a counsellor, I do actively listen. However, I am looking at ways to help that person. I am looking at things that could help them, things that they could try, and also using my counselling skills to make them feel heard and understood. But in doing that and having all those things in my head when I talk to a client about what I could do to help them, when in my personal relationships, I actually do that, and it doesn't give space for that person to really explore how they're feeling and tell me what's going on. It just shows that even if you are a counsellor or someone who supports people, it doesn't mean that you're perfect in your own life. And it doesn't mean that you're actually able to always do that for yourself and others in your relationships. And it's something I need to really be mindful of and remind myself of. And I'm going to talk to you about how to actively listen within your relationships. The first thing to do is when someone's talking to you to put down whatever you're holding, your phone, a book, even just stop what you're doing for a moment. You don't have to stare at them if that feels awkward, but giving them your full attention sends a clear message that the person matters to you and that you're there to listen and support. Second, try to pick up on both what they're saying and how they're saying it. Are their words serious, but their voice is shaky? Are they laughing, but their eyes look tired? Sometimes the emotion behind words tells us more than the actual words themselves. And the next thing to do is pause before you respond. Try to wait at least 3 seconds. It sounds like a long time, but it gives you space to really take in what they've said. Then you can say something like, "So what I'm hearing is that what you're feeling frustrated because you feel like you're carrying more than your share. Is that right?" And obviously there's different examples of this depending on what they're saying. But given that pause and then checking with them what they meant and what they were coming across with, it does two things. It lets them know you're listening, and it gives them a chance to clarify if you've misunderstood. Even if you don't have a solution to their problem, just being heard can take a lot of tension out of a conversation. I find that quite often I don't clarify. So, what I really need to be mindful of is saying, "This is what I'm hearing from you. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're meaning?" And seeking clarification is a lot better than presuming you know what the person is meaning. Now let's talk about how we speak to the people in our lives. It's easy to choose our words carefully when we're talking to strangers, but with the people we care about, we often let our guard down, and sometimes that means we say things we don't mean or say things in a way that's hurtful. It's quite easy to do this, especially with someone close to you, and quite often we hurt the people that are the closest to us because we feel more comfortable with them and we tend to filter ourselves less. But actually, when you're talking to someone that you love and care about, it's really important to think about how you would like them to talk to you, and also taking care on the way you're speaking to them, because obviously you care about them and you want them to feel that. Quite often what we do is we use you statements, when, especially if we're upset, saying things like, "You never do the housework," or "You never do something that is important to you." But what I've learned is that these kinds of statements make people feel attacked. And when someone feels attacked, their first instinct is to defend themselves and not to listen. And that can really close people off, which, when you're having a conversation and an interaction in a relationship that's important to you, can be very difficult. Instead, the best way to do it is to try and use I statements. So that really helps you express how you feel without blaming the other person. So, for example, instead of "You're always late," try "I feel worried when we're running behind because I like to be on time." It might feel really awkward at first. It does for me sometimes, and I have to keep reminding myself to use I statements so that I'm owning what I'm saying. But it changes the whole tone of the conversation. Suddenly, you're not arguing about who's right or wrong, you're working together to understand each other's needs. And that's really important. Something that can really help is to think, when you are going to say something, would I say this to this person if we were both calm? If the answer is no, it might be worth taking a few minutes to breathe before you speak. Sometimes just stepping outside for a walk, or just stepping away from the situation into another room, or taking a deep breath can help you find the words that will bring peace and not conflict. The third practice is all about space, and I don't just mean physical space. Peace in relationships doesn't mean we have to be together every second, or like all the same things, or like things the same way. In fact, trying to make that happen is one of the fastest ways to build resentment. We're all different, and we all have different aspects of life that we enjoy, and we all come from different perspectives depending on our history and how we have experienced life. I used to think that being in a close relationship meant you should share everything, but I realised that when I tried to fit myself into what I thought the other person wanted, I lost touch with things that made me happy, and that made me irritable and hard to be around. I was trying to fit into what I thought the other person wanted rather than just being myself and being in the relationship as me. And that is one thing that I have found really difficult, but I've worked on over the years in my relationships, that actually the relationships that are most important to me and that I value the most are the relationships where I'm being genuinely myself and I am being accepted and loved for who I am. What works is making space for the things that matter to each of you. If your partner loves playing video games, let them have that time without making them feel guilty. If your friend is really into a hobby you don't understand, ask them about it instead of brushing it off. Try and understand why they like it. You don't have to say, I'll go with you, although if you want to try it, fair enough. But you don't have to throw yourself into something that you don't understand. But it's always really good to ask the person about what they like, and then it means that they genuinely feel heard for who they are. If someone you have a close relationship with has a different belief than you, respect that that's their journey and it's their own journey. You don't have to be on the same journey as them, but having respect for them and their beliefs is really important. This also means making space for yourself. It's okay to say, I need some time alone to recharge, or I can't make it to that event, I need to take care of myself. Taking care of your own peace means you have more to give to the people you care about. I've seen this work with so many people: couples who have their own hobbies and still feel deeply connected, friends who disagree on big things but still support each other, families who make space for different personalities and still feel like home. When we let people be themselves, we create relationships that are strong, flexible, and peaceful, and it also helps us to be ourselves. At the end of each day, take a moment to think about one thing you appreciate about someone in your life. Doesn't have to be big. Could be something as small as my colleague smiled at me when I was having a tough morning, or my mum made me my favourite meal, or my friend sent me a text just to check in. You can write it down in a notebook or your journal, or just say it out loud to yourself. And if you feel like it, you could actually tell them. You could actually share that appreciation for them in a text or a message. Even a quick message like, I really appreciate how you helped me with that today, can make someone's day and strengthen your connection and your relationship with them. Doing this regularly shifts our focus from what's wrong in our relationships to what's right. It reminds us that even on hard days, there's goodness and care around us, and that's the foundation of peace. Building peace in relationships isn't something we do once. It's a practice we come back to again and again. There will be days when we forget to listen, or when we say the wrong thing, or when we struggle to make space for each other, and that's okay. What matters is that we keep trying, keep caring, and keep showing up for the people we love. If you found this helpful, please put some things in the comments that's helped you within your relationships and that's also helped bring peace into your life, and you never know who that's going to help. The subject of one of my next videos is how we actually keep this peace going even when we're having really difficult conversations, something I know we all face from time to time. Thank you for watching, and remember, the peace you build with others starts with the peace you carry within yourself. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.